As we now turn to the transition to President-elect Joe Biden, there are still some lingering questions about the sort of legal aftermath of President Trump's presidency. There has been a lot of speculation about what might happen, for example, with the investigation that's going on in the Southern District of New York. Our Rick Newman is here to try to untie some of the knots that are going to result here after the presidency is concluded.
Hey, Julie. Right. The latest scuttlebutt is that Trump may pardon Michael Flynn, who was his national security advisor right at the very beginning of the Trump administration. He only lasted about a month. And part of the problem there was he lied to the FBI about discussions he had with representatives of Russia. He lied to the vice president, embarrassed the vice president, who went on TV and said, no, Flynn had no such conversations, when it turned out he did. So Trump fired Flynn, and then the government began looking into him and did prosecute him. So the Attorney General, William Barr, has essentially let Flynn off the hook. But Trump, by pardoning Flynn, he would basically clear the matter up for good. There could be no further charges at the federal level. And, this is going to be one of the big things to watch during the last few weeks of the Trump administration is who does he pardon? And most importantly, will he try to pardon himself in some way or his family members? Because there are things it looks like the Justice Department in a Biden administration could go after Trump for. So lots of drama still to unfold, I think.
Well, and Rick, I guess on that point, I would ask a two-parter. One, what specifically, I suppose, would Trump or the Trump family have to worry about? Because I think there's been so much that perhaps the public, and certainly myself, has forgotten exactly the issues at hand here. And I know there are several. And also, is this like SOP for a transition period? Is pardon something you usually take care of between administrations, or is this an oddity of the Trump era here?
Pardons are standard in the last few weeks or even last few days of a presidential administration, and some of them are unsavory. There have been other presidents who basically pardoned friends who were clearly guilty and, just by standards of justice should not have been pardoned. As for Trump himself, go back to Robert Mueller's report. One of the things that was very clear in that report were several instances that look very much like obstruction of justice, and other prosecutors have said, part of what Mueller was doing was laying out a roadmap for future prosecutors, once Trump is no longer president, to decide if they want to go after Trump on that. Also, those two, don't forget about those two hush money payments to people, women Trump had affairs with. Michael Cohen, his former lawyer, went to jail in part because those were campaign finance felonies. So if Cohen arranged the payments and went to jail for them, Trump is the guy who signed the check and would, in theory, be guilty just as Cohen was. So there are state and local investigations into Trump in New York. That is a different thing. Those will continue no matter what, because Trump cannot let himself off the hook for that. The question is whether a future administration would bring federal charges against Trump as well.